Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, today's content is crucially important. What we've been talking about on this channel for the past 5 to 6 months is really deep on basically meeting the left where they're at and debunking their arguments completely by their own logistics and their own statistics. Okay? This is a big part of the argument in bringing more people to the side of the Second Amendment in the battlefield of ideas, and this is a really good thing to bring. This is all about red flag laws, and the left wants to do this nationally, okay? Recently, in Indianapolis, we had red flag laws completely fail. We had the perpetrator's mother involved in red flag action. The law was aware of it, and the FBI was aware of it, and still it occurred and failed miserably. I even did a video on MSNBC lamenting the fact that the red flag laws failed because that was one of their main pushes, right? Now, we've got more data, and this is what I'm talking about. It's all in the description box below for your review, but this is data from California. Now, California, New York, and Chicago, as we've talked about on this channel, are like the breeding grounds or like the brain centers for far-left gun control because they can get away with it. So they constantly do things in these sectors to basically spread across the rest of the United States because it worked, okay? Now, here's what just came out. Use of gun violence restraining orders continues to rise. Now, this is in California. This is what they call red flag laws. Gun violence restraining orders, or GVROs. It's on the rise. What that means is applications for it, okay? Now, gun violence restraining orders, or GVROs, mandate the temporary removal of a person's firearms because they pose a danger to themselves or others. Red flag laws, okay? Again, California. Under California's original red flag law, family members and law enforcement could go to the courts to obtain GVROs. And if that sounds familiar to you, you've been paying attention. That's what the left wants across the board. Family members and law enforcement. Lots of states do this already. They want the ability to petition the court to have firearms removed from individuals if they're deemed a threat to themselves or others. Now in California, this passed in 2016. Okay? Now, a lawmaker by the last name of Ting passed AB 61 in September of 2020, which expanded the pool of people who could obtain a GVRO, allowing educators, employers, and co-workers to file for one when coordinating with school administrators or human resource departments. So what they did, remember the argument that they always come out with on the left is, well, it's just common sense. Family members, law enforcement, they would know, and if it's written into the law, it's not a slippery slope, like that's who could do it. Well, then they passed a bill about 5 years later that says, oh, but you know what? Co-workers, employers, educators, school administrators, oh, you know what? They should probably work with their HR departments. So now you've got corporations. This is the slippery slope. So when people say it's not a slippery slope to gun control, yes, it is. Because California just added a large swath of already passed red flag laws, which were only family members and law enforcement. That's a really key point. Now, you would think that that would prevent the gun violence, but it doesn't. Interesting thought. So, has this had an impact? Let's check it out. For the 4th year in a row, the number of gun violence restraining orders issued in California has grown as California residents and law agencies increasingly make use of the state's red flag law. Well, that's interesting. When you open up the people that can claim a red flag law, you get a lot more. That's so weird. It's almost like you're infringing upon the Second Amendment rights of civilians and innocents and citizens for no reason because you want to. What could go wrong? But Braden, I know what you're thinking. It can't be that bad. Okay, well, here's the graph on the screen right now. Since 2016 when it passed, just under about 150. Well, in 2020, now it's over 1,200. Okay, the graph itself speaks volumes because as people in the population understand how this works, it starts to go up and up and up, and as you broaden the pool of people that can create these claims, it gets worse and worse and worse for gun owners. Every single time this graph goes up, someone has been infringed upon because of XYZ reason. With no recourse, you just can't have your firearms till the court deems you acceptable to have your rights back. And that's the point. If you look at this graph, this represents in a graph form the slippery slope because it starts what it's used for, and then it just goes up and up, and then it goes up and up and up further. The point here is, guys, we aren't going to give the control and the power to the local, state, and governments because they will misuse it exactly like this. They will say at first, well, it's just family members and law enforcement, and they know better. And then pretty soon it's co-workers, pretty soon it's administrators, pretty soon it's HR departments and corporations. California just did this. And look at the results. It's right there on your screen. And this is the crucial part. This is the point where we can bring in people to the gun control argument or gun rights argument and say, look, this is literally what's happening in far left states where they've implemented what they're trying to implement nationally. Here's the data, okay? And that's why we do this, because everyone can be reached if we do it correctly. Now, a leftist would say, well, that obviously means that the gun control or the red flag orders have worked and gun violence has gone down. No. Here on the screen right now is also from a Los Angeles paper. In the first 2 months of this year, Los Angeles Police Department officers fielded 570 reports of shots fired, up 88% from the 303 incidents during the same time frame in 2020. And 267 people were hit by gunfire, an increase of 141% from the 111 people wounded in the time frame in 2020. It was reported Thursday. What this says, guys, is the red flag laws that they've put in place, and as the GVROs have gone up, they've seized more guns, the violence has gone up with it. If their theory worked, then the gun violence restraining orders would go up and gun violence would go down. It's the exact inverse. They're both inclining. So all that's happening is the violence is increasing across the board and less people have Second Amendment rights to protect themselves or defend their family members or their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You know, that old thing. The whole point is this is how we reach these people, not the far left. I know some of you are screaming at your screen right now like the far left can't be reached. I'm talking about the everyday Democrat who worries about paychecks, who worries about food on their table, who worries about defending their family and making sure their kids have a good education. They are just like us, and when we presented the facts, we can reach them and have a common conversation, because that's what it's going to take to put this baby to bed, and we can do this. You and I are unified all day long on the Second Amendment. I see your comments, they're amazing. If we get more people into this fold and show what the left is doing and how it does not work for the end goal that they're trying to achieve, we will bring more people along, and that's what we're talking about, guys. That's how we pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. And until tomorrow, guys, let me know what you think in the comments field below. I'm Braden. I'll see you later.